the royal appointment. Before I get started, an update on the author of that piece, who, as we know, left the royal appointment so that she could take over as head of marketing for her uncle, Count Chocula. Good news, they've gotten out early this year. Noticeably absent was her serial, Carmela Creeper. I can't make this up. Apparently, her soulful snake has got some serious attitude. Gave her a snake as a pet. Are you trolling us? Last week's royal appointment did something that I haven't seen before. To the piece, it's the first time that Harry and Meghan have done a tour without any mention or tie-in to the British royal family. Is it that, or is it how the British media writes about their tours in context with the British royal family? In honor of that, the reporter is going to break down this visit by King Charles to Southport with Harry and Meghan's tour. Two separate entities, will not be compared. Hey, I see you, girl. Thanks for watching. Let's go. I've got bad news. According to the piece, Queen Elizabeth made a rare error during her 70-plus year reign that King Charles has corrected. You're thinking this is in reference to the BLM movement or the riots in the early 2010s. Tricks are for kids. Is that a competitor? No, obviously we're talking about white people. According to the reporter, you have to go back over half a century to find the only time that Queen Elizabeth made a rare misstep. This isn't a knock on Queen Elizabeth, but we still haven't gotten to the point yet where we can actually analyze and look at her reign and make some actual critique of it. Now remember, critique isn't necessarily criticism, but nobody is perfect. You have to go back to Aberfan, South Wales, where the worst mining incident in British history occurred. Queen Elizabeth was criticized, and rightly so in my opinion, because it took her 8 days to actually go and visit the site of the incident. If we're just going by numbers, it has actually taken King Charles longer to go to Southport and meet with the grieving families and survivors, talk to the imam of the local mosque about the riots. It's telling that the author had to go back more than half a century. Back to an event that, while there are obviously socioeconomic factors at play, it's not one that involves that, race, religion. Some might call that intersectionality. A lot of the recent events and riots are fueled by the anti-immigration sentiment that is pushed by the Tories through legislation, on TV by conservative talking heads, and also in some major British newspapers. It seems like the lesson that was really learned here was one of public relations. If you've worked with a spin doctor in the 90s to grow and improve your relationship with the press, they will not hold you accountable and ask questions about why it has taken so long or why you haven't spoken out against riots, because they really don't care. They're acting as PR. What it shows to me is that if you show up in a timely manner, whatever that means, the substance of what you've done doesn't actually matter. The Sussex tour in Colombia is not that noteworthy, except for this part that the author writes. This is all related to the lack of access and actual press pool that accompanied the Duke and Duchess of Sussex on this tour. She writes, quote, "Sometimes a picture speaks 1,000 words, but sometimes the best way to speak for working royals, former working royals, and those they hope to help is to just speak." Yes, because I'm sure that if members of the Royal Rota went on this tour, we would see pieces of substance, not pieces about body language or cost of Meghan's dress. Yes, I'm sure that the message of the tour and the serious talking points would come shining through any article produced. It also completely misses why they left working royal life, which was they were not getting that kind of coverage by the British media. There was a lot of lies and insinuations, and they were supposed to play along because nobody at the palace was going to protect them. Here's my other issue with that statement. How can you write that about Harry and Meghan and not write about King Charles's inability, it seems, to speak up loudly and boldly against xenophobia, anti-immigration sentiment, all of it? Because an argument could be made that the British royal family's silence, especially as they are supposed to be the best of Britain, they are supposed to be a guiding light in hard times, they are falling woefully short when it comes to marginalized people, because it seems like they can't find their voice when it comes to things that impact marginalized communities. Papers like The Telegraph can't hold Charles to task about that, because it would also be an indictment, in this case, of the very paper that they write for. How do you write an article praising King Charles's interfaith healing and ignore the work of your very own paper and what it has done to divide people, to fan these flames for the bottom line? I'm gonna give this royal appointment a solid C-. There weren't a ton of comparisons, and I do like how you broke things up. Keep doing that. But there was also a lot of hypocrisy.